You're watching HuffPost Live. I'm Alicia Menendez. After an endless election season, it's hard to believe that there are still undecided voters. Indeed, they're incredibly rare. With only 6 weeks until Election Day, only 7% of likely voters have yet to pick a candidate. Joining us to discuss this, we have an exclusive, an undecided voter in the swing state of all swing state, Ohio. Julia Barden's a mother of 4 and a blogger in Toledo. We also have Liz Martinez, an associate producer at HuffPost Live, who got a lot of heat in our newsroom for still being undecided. Patrick Buckley is a senior language strategist at Mislansky, Luntz & Partners here in New York. And joining us on the phone, we have Mike Hayes, a former pollster and currently a professor of political science at the University of Detroit. All right, Julia, tell us why you're still undecided.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to highlight that as a very proud Puerto Rican girl from the South Bronx, my maiden name of Torres is very important to me. So, in fact, I write under the name of Julia Torres Barden. And that makes me a Hispanic female, 2 categories, of course, that the candidates are desperate to secure. For me...
Wow, we're really out indexing here, Liz, you, and me.
Yeah.
We're all Latinas. Yay.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. But I think that's important to highlight because it plays a huge role in my decision in that in the 2008 election, I really wanted Hillary Clinton, but I drank the Democrat Kool-Aid because I've been a Democrat my whole life. I was on the welfare line and I can't be hypocritical. So I went with the party line. In 2012, I'm much more challenged to do that because at this point in watching the president for 4 years, I worry about the way in which he expresses his American patriotism.
I always wonder about people who have no clue about who to vote for. Are people really that lazy that they do no research of their own? You've done a lot of research. You research every day here at the Huffington Post, and you are still not sold.
Yes, it's, that comment I can say, I think it's harder for those who do know the issues and who've been watching this all along, what I think is political theater. And it's so hard to just say, I'm going to vote for one of these, even if I know that they're both not evil, but, the whole lesser of 2 evils you're going to vote for. And I don't want to deal with this complicity with evil. It's not supposed to be that way. As a voter in 2012, you're not supposed to have to choose between the lesser of 2 evils, and that's how I feel.
Mike, can you give us a profile of who these undecided voters generally are? I don't know that we have painted the single best portrait here.
Undecided voters generally tend to be people, while we've certainly heard reasoned, detailed reasons why Liz, I believe, is undecided. That is somewhat unusual for an undecided voter to really have that much detailed information about the background of the candidates, things of that nature. In fact, undecided voters tend to be the least informed members of the electorate. They do tend to be a little bit more likely independents, people who can't make a decision as to whether they're Democrats or Republicans, and that really is a lot of who is undecided. They're people who just simply pay the least attention to politics, have the least mooring into politics, and therefore have the most difficulty in deciding. That really only describes at most 5 or 6% of the electorate, and if you really go down all the way to the swing states, to the crucial states like Ohio, then you're probably talking about less than 1% of the electorate that is undecided based on those swing states that may or may not be decisive in this year's election.
What Mike talked about in terms of the low information voters and them being a real part of this sort of this group that can't make a decision. Under 40 days out. I think that there's something to that, but I think that there's another story here, and that's that a lot of folks are looking at the 2 candidates and for a variety of reasons are not finding one that they're perfectly comfortable with, that they feel like that they can trust and feel good about voting for. And I don't know that the low information aspect really tells the whole story here. I think a lot of folks look at Obama and think he's a likable guy, but maybe he's fallen down in terms of the economy and he hasn't done the job. They look at Romney and they say, this is a guy with a proven business record. He's succeeded in the private sector, but I don't know if I trust that he has the best interests of average Americans in mind.
I don't want to come across as somebody who's only fearful. I want to highlight that the way in which Barack Obama treated Hillary Clinton and not choosing to even vet her as vice president, as highlighted in the book Game Change, indicates for me, not the way I was raised as a minority, that when you break a glass ceiling, you empower those behind you.
And really,
so I don't
you
think-
don't buy this team of rivals meme that he actually has brought her on and that they've built an incredible relationship? Isn't she in some ways more powerful than she would be as a vice president?
No. Hillary's doing an amazing job because she's going to rise to the occasion, whatever her assignment in representing America is. I'm talking again about the way in which the Obama team treated her. You're likable enough, Hillary. Choosing not to vet her because of the team's ultimate concern that they couldn't control her husband.